What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Today we're going to do the Arnold recaps and Arnold Speaks, which is going to be some interesting topic to go with. Before we get started, I want to make sure that I let you guys know the Raw TV t-shirts are back in stock. They'll be shipping out ASAP. Some of you guys have been waiting for them. 24/7, 365, the 3 stars. Diet, training, cardio, always raw. And on the right bicep, the Bios3 bicep. That's what it says on the right arm. So those are back in stock now. We'll be shipping out right away. And the battalion shirts are in stock right now. We'll be shipping those right away for you guys that have been waiting for them. So let's get right to it. Hey, Brew. Yeah, Brew's really not impressed. So the Arnold Classic recap. Let's recap it first. I didn't pay too much attention to what was going on because I was busy at the 5% booth. And I was tired as fuck. I had to check out a 2 hotel. You guys know the whole thing. It was just a fuck. It was a nightmare getting there all the way together. But when I found out Dexter... Hey, buddy, what's wrong? When I found out Dexter had won, I was surprised but not shocked. Because Dexter, former Mr. Olympia, had won the show 4 times before the Arnold Classic. You know, he's definitely a threat anytime he competes in any show. Now, what I thought was interesting was Dexter was a little less sharp than he normally is. He's still the Blade, but he was a lot bigger, and his symmetry was just as good. So he added size, kept the symmetry. What's the matter, buddy? You all right over there? You're whining for? I know. You mad? You're mad about the bellies, too. Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about the bellies in a minute. Anyways, I just want to go on record as saying, on Geared Up Radio podcast a while ago, and I was still part of it, I remember saying Dexter Jackson is a lot fucking bigger right now. So going into the Arnold, if he maintains that size, he could win the show. And I definitely remember Dave Johnston saying, he's not any bigger, he was just wearing a tight t-shirt. And I thought to myself, the picture I saw, he's fucking huge in. And I just want to go on record as saying, I was not only right about him being huge, but he maintained that size and came in and won the Arnold Classic. So just saying. Just a fact. That's all. So Dexter won. I thought his stomach was a little more protruding than he normally is. A little less sharp. But I think overall the combination of size, symmetry, and shape, I think it was the right call. Now Branch Warren, who snuck into that second spot, I didn't see him even coming in there at all. To be honest with you, I didn't even see him in the top 5 with some of the names that were going to be there. But Branch has something that Compton didn't, Evan didn't, Cedric didn't, and that is experience. Experience with competition and experience with his physique, which he showed that actually paid off because he came in just as big as he ever has, just as full as he ever has, drier, and I wouldn't say his symmetry was any better. I think Branch has pretty much done what he can do with his physique, but he can nail the conditioning, and for those guys who have the better physiques structure-wise or shape-wise, when he nails that conditioning and you stand them side by side, you now start to think, you know, the freak factor comes into play, where you're now looking at them going, you got one guy that looks good, but his glutes are soft. This guy looks not as structurally sound, but he dieted really hard, so he actually deserves to fucking beat him, period. Third place, I think, was Cedric, I believe, or was it Justin Compton? I don't know, third, fourth, it doesn't fucking matter. Anything after first doesn't really fucking matter because they're all interchangeable, but Cedric, I felt like I don't know what it is he lacks. His physique is amazing. His posing is great. Why they don't really like him as much as they should, judge-wise, I don't really know. I think he's got a great physique. Could I see him winning the Arnold Classic? Yeah. You know, could I see him winning the Olympia? Probably not right now. I mean, I think, honestly, for the Olympia, as big as he is, he needs a little more mass to keep those lines and keep that sharpness. And he's yet to really nail his conditioning to the point where he has that Phil Heath fucking freak factor condition-wise, or that Dexter freak condition-wise. Like, it's not there yet for him. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just a genetic thing, a mistiming thing, whatever it could be. But I do believe if Cedric ever pulled off, you know, a little more mass with the same conditioning and shape that he has, that he would pretty much be unbeatable. And that's just my personal opinion. Justin Compton looked better 2 weeks out than he did at the show. I wish these fucking guys would stop playing with these water levels and diuretics because it fucks him up. He was too flat. He was conditioned, but he was too flat. You could just see it. Like, he looked completely different than he did, you know, a couple weeks before. And I saw pictures of him in a shirt standing next to a couple pros, and I was like, he's a big motherfucker. I've stood next to him. I've met him several times. For him to look not that impressive in a shirt, something was going on. And when you looked at his forearms, there wasn't a fucking single vein in his forearm anywhere. There was nothing. Everything was just fucking smooth. And I'm like, this guy's been vascular as fuck through the whole prep. I haven't seen one picture or one video of him who has a vascular. Something is going on with his levels somewhere to flatten him out. Of course, it's probably a depletion and loading, and they missed the fucking peak, whatever the case may be. But what it comes down to is fucking with diuretics, and they screwed him again. Because the kid, I honestly believe, could have came in second, but that last minute fucking around always screws him up. And Vincent Tapani, the same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. Looked better 2 weeks out. Saw some pictures of him, and you can see his neck lost muscularity and stuff in his shirt. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing? You know, when you used to see those pictures of Yates and Levrone and those guys, the day before the show, the day of the show, they'd have their big fucking T. Michael sweatshirts on. Those motherfuckers would have every fucking single striation and vein in their neck, their upper pecs, their forearms when they did this. See how my forearm moves like that? There's a fucking splinter all over the place and shit. But these guys don't look like that, which means they're doing something water-wise or carbohydrate-wise. I'm willing to bet they're pulling sodium and water with some kind of fucking diuretic, and it makes them look worse. I wish that they would not go for the super hard dried out look, and they would go more for what, you know, they did when Arnold's day was, which was a hard but not super dry, because these guys, if they came in full, Evan looked like fucking Dorian Yates 3 weeks out. We saw the pictures, or a week out, or whatever it was. Shows up on contest day looking nothing like himself in those pictures. So, you know, my thing is, it doesn't matter how anybody looks a week out, 5 weeks out, 3 weeks out, even 24 hours out. It matters what you look on stage. And Dexter was able to maintain that size, and sometimes he loses when he comes in too conditioned. And I think that honestly he said, you know what, I'm conditioned enough. I'm not going to try to pull that water. I mean, he's just lean. He's a naturally lean guy. So he's already lean. There's no sense of pulling the water because he's not going to get any leaner. He's just going to flatten out. And he came in. I do detect a bit of synthol in the biceps now, in Dexter's biceps. You can kind of see something doesn't look right there. They went from looking like a good-shaped bicep, normal-shaped human bicep, to a ball, like almost like a softball. So biceps don't change shape like that. Is Arnold, you know, even, you know, some of the guys with the bigger arms, you know, they don't. Jay and Ronnie had 23-inch arms, which I'm sure are bigger than Dexter's arms, but still had that shape to the peak and have the shape to the muscle. But these guys like Greg Valentino and these other guys who started pushing the synthol, you know, their biceps, and Milo Sarcev and these guys, when they were using it, their biceps changed shape when they started using it. So I think that he went a little overboard with that. Not too noticeable, but I noticed it, and I said, you know what, you know, this is not out of control yet, but it still has a good overall look. Now, my opinion on Arnold Speaks. Arnold Schwarzenegger came out after the show, and he thought Cedric McMillan should win because he had the best physique there. And he said that's what it should be judged on, the best physique, not the most amount of mass. And Arnold flat out called out Jim Mannion, who's the president of the IFBB. Jim Mannion essentially is like the king of the IFBB. Like, he runs everything. He's the top dog. He's the one that is in control of everything. And Arnold pretty much called him out and said, if you want change, this is the guy you go after. Email him, call him, fucking send him mail in the mail, fucking send him packages, whatever you got to do. Get a hold of Jim Mannion and start with him, because that's where change is going to start. He has to trickle down to the IFBB judges and the NPC judges and let them know that they're not judging properly and that things need to change, or bodybuilding is just going to get uglier and uglier. And I think Arnold finally saw, you know, someone with a physique reminiscent of his, like Cedric, that had that shape and the symmetry and posed classically. And people admire that. I'd say a lot more people admire Cedric's physique for the way it looks, rather than just the overall mass. I mean, when we're at the booth at 5%, Piana's a massive fucking dude. And people look at it, and they go, wow, that's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. But when they look at Cedric, they go, you know, he's not just big, he's got this, he's got that, he's got this, and, you know, he's competing, and da-da-da-da. So there's like a different way of looking at it, where some people really like the mass, some people really like the way the overall body is conditioned and shape and stuff like that. So when you're getting on stage, that's where everything comes into play. Muscularity, shape, conditioning, you know, small waist, big legs, good posing, all that stuff, where I think that when Arnold speaks up, change may happen. I mean, let's face facts, dimes to dollars. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I do believe, above Joe Weider, and I could get slammed for this, and I don't fucking care. I do believe Arnold did more for the sport of bodybuilding than Joe Weider did. I know Joe Weider spent his entire life pushing, trying to fucking make it a better sport, and him and Ben Weider dedicated their entire life. But without the face, if they had just had Joe Weider's face to push bodybuilding, it would not have done what it did without Arnold. Pumping Iron came along, and instantly people were gravitating towards Arnold. They wanted to know about Arnold. They really weren't giving a shit about bodybuilding yet. They wanted to know about Arnold. And then his cast of characters like Franco, Lou. You know, Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk, he had a lot to do with pushing bodybuilding too. Because when people saw a human being that size like that, they were like, holy shit, how did he do that? Why is he like that? Bodybuilder. So some people for Arnold, some people for Lou. And, you know, without those guys in the mainstream, Pumping Iron was a cult movie. I mean, how many people went to see that at the movie theaters? that weren't already into bodybuilding. It wasn't like you put it up in Paramount or Universal or somebody put it out and it was advertised for 3, 4, 6 months before it came out, and all of a sudden it was a fucking blockbuster, record-breaking movie. It was a cult movie. It's huge now because the fitness industry in general is bigger, and Arnold, again, is still Arnold. He's grown so much over the years that people are actually now like, we've seen all Arnold stuff now. Let's go back to see what he was in the beginning and kind of watch what that was. Because I was a little kid when Pumping Iron came out, but I didn't see or hear about it whatsoever until it was starting to come out again on, when they were re-releasing it on DVD and stuff. I mean, I was following bodybuilding. I knew Yates, Lavroni. I knew these guys. I mean, of course, I knew who Arnold was, but that was because of the movies. Arnold was in Predator. Arnold was in Junior, which was a fucked up movie. Kindergarten Cop. Terminator. I mean, I don't have to fucking mention what he was in. You know what he was in, goddammit. So he was in all these movies that basically made him the star, and he kept preaching about bodybuilding, bodybuilding, bodybuilding. Arnold's book of encyclopedia of bodybuilding. Joe Weider had the first one with the Weider Principles, which was successful, but how many people to this day, I saw people bringing the encyclopedia of Arnold's encyclopedia to the fucking expo, original print, having fucking Rich Piana sign it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, I don't see people bringing the Weider Principles up there and having them sign. This is not to bash Weider. I'm not bashing Weider whatsoever. I'm telling you the fucking straight out truth. A lot of people don't want to talk out against that because they're like, oh, Weider's the father and he's the founder. He's the founder, but he wasn't the face and he didn't propel bodybuilding no matter how much he did without a star to do it. And that's why he took Arnold under his wing. Arnold was that star that was going to propel bodybuilding into the mainstream, and that's exactly what happened. So essentially what I'm trying to say with this whole thing is Arnold is untouchable. Plain and simple. Like the average person, like if I spoke out against the IFBB or Lee Priest spoke out against the IFBB, fucking guy is banned and can't even go to a show because he spoke out. Can't even go to a show. They fucking hate him because he spoke out against a couple things. And if he said the same thing that Arnold did, which, he did, he's like, the physiques are getting ugly and stuff, fucking they ban him. If anybody speaks out, you're blackballed, you're banned, all this shit happens. But when Arnold speaks out, they can't do a goddamn fucking thing at all. Because Arnold literally has all the power. He literally has the power in his hand. Like, he's the superstar. He's the megastar. He's the one responsible for making it what it is. And what he says most of the time, it's fucking gospel. Plain and simple, because he's right. He's right about what it should do. There should be no big bloated bellies. He's falling asleep. There's no big bloated bellies. There should be no mass at all costs. There should be no distorted insulin fucking bloat. There should be no growth hormone faces and fucking elbows and all kinds of weird shit. There was a guy I was on the plane with, there was a 212 competitor, I can't remember his name, he's that fucking really big, thick, short, dark-skinned guy. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what the fuck? He looks like he's going to drop dead right fucking now. Huge belly, face all puffed up, but he's like 4% body fat. He couldn't even fucking walk. He's sweating just sitting there in fucking 10-degree weather. And I'm like, this is what bodybuilding is? I remember seeing Arnold and those guys on the beach, and they're hanging out, and they're fucking just sleeping on the beach and fucking doing pull-ups and fucking doing all kinds of shit and enjoying life. This guy did not look like he was fucking enjoying life one bit. And he didn't even fucking win or place anywhere near what he wanted to do in the 212s. So my personal opinion is, does something have to change? Yes. And something has changed. They've come up with the men's physique division. They've come up with classical bodybuilding. They're coming up with solutions that create more avenues to create more income, more revenue, more money. If you have the mass freaks in bodybuilding, classical bodybuilding, which is popular in Europe, which is pretty much what Arnold does, and men's physique, which are the guys that don't want to be either one of the other two, you now have 3 avenues to provide revenue and a place for someone to compete who normally couldn't genetically go to one of the other ones. And I think that's okay. I just think that the sport of bodybuilding itself is, it's evolved, and I don't see it going backwards unless somebody like Arnold really steps up and pushes for it. I think then we'll see change, but unless that happens, I mean, it's gone that way, and it's gone the way of extinction with women's bodybuilding because it's gone so far. And I'm watching women's physique go towards bodybuilding now. That girl, Juliana Malakarni, was actually a lot bigger. She was like a smaller bodybuilder when she won the physique. We're watching Sadiq, the men's physique. The guy's a big dude. I saw him in person. He's fucking big. It's not about, just being symmetrical and stuff anymore. He's big. They're going with bigger guys. Figure, you got girls like Candice Lewis and these girls who are a lot bigger and thicker and conditioned than they were, a few years ago. Like, it's going in that direction. So it's like, it goes that way until it fucking becomes extinct like women's bodybuilding, which is pretty much what happened already. I mean, to turn it around, I don't know how they would do that. They just create new classes. But that's the solution so far, is the new classes. So change is happening, but I don't see the Mr. Olympia or the Arnold or the Ironman Pro or the Colorado Pro or any of these things all of a sudden switching and going with someone like Cedric instead of Dexter, Phil, one of these. And Phil doesn't even have the bloated body, but like, Kai, these guys like what the hell's that again? Mike, whatever his name from Podjukowicz or whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, fucking look him up, whatever. But that's just my view, so it is what it is. Biostraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is a blog. It's the Arnold Recap Bicep, and we're out.